Usually when we talk about a digital revolution, there is this underlying expectation of a clean, absolute substitution.
Right. Like a complete wipeout of the old system.
Yeah, exactly. Like streaming services completely wiping out video rental stores or, I don't know, digital cameras rendering film completely obsolete.
Yeah.
One technology ascends to the throne and the other quietly goes extinct.
It's a neat narrative, you know?
It is a neat, orderly narrative.
We love a clear narrative of obsolescence because it makes the march of technological progress feel predictable. It makes the world feel orderly. But as any analyst will tell you, the real world rarely adheres to those clean narratives.
Exactly. And the moment you look at the Indian economy, specifically the payment ecosystem and currency management, that clean narrative just fractures entirely. I mean, we are supposedly sprinting toward a cashless UPI-dominated future.
Absolutely.
Every time you buy a cup of tea or, pay for a cab, you are probably scanning a QR code.
And yet, despite that ubiquitous digital reality, we are currently printing, moving, securely storing, and, well, actively managing more physical paper currency than ever before in the history of the Republic.
Which is wild.
It's the absolute definition of a structural macroeconomic paradox.
Welcome to this deep dive. Today we are bringing you, our fellow analyst and listener, into a highly focused, intensive briefing.
A very intensive briefing.
Yes, our mission today is very specific. We are building the definitive audio guide for your high-stakes exam covering the Reserve Bank of India's currency management for the year 2025-26.
And to do this properly, we are drawing directly from two foundational, unimpeachable texts.
Right, the sources.
First, Chapter 8 of the RBI Annual Report 2025-26, and second, the definitive FNW, that is the Functions and Working Manual of the Central Bank.
Okay, so we're looking at an operational system that manages tens of trillions of rupees in physical paper and metal.
Yeah, trillions. It is a system that seamlessly blends century-old legal mandates with cutting-edge, frankly, sci-fi level antimicrobial substrate technology.
It really is sci-fi.
It's a massive, continent-spanning logistical machine.
Okay, let's unpack this. Our agenda today is rigorous, but we are going to make it make sense.
Because rote memorization won't save you on the exam.
Exactly. We are moving away from just rote memorization. We are going to start with the bedrock legal foundations, then explore the architectural plumbing of how cash actually moves across the country.
The logistics.
Right. And from there, we will dive deep into the hard, surprising data of 2025-26, and finally explore the technological frontier of security and innovation. So, grab your notes, get comfortable, because we are going to cover exactly what you need to know, and more importantly, why it works the way it does.
That why is the key.
Yeah.
Memorizing raw facts and data points is one thing, but if you understand the underlying logic of the central bank's operations, like why the systems were designed this way, those facts become incredibly intuitive.
So you don't have to just guess on a multiple choice question.
Exactly. You won't have to guess. That's exactly how you ace the tricky scenario-based questions the examiners love to throw at you.
All right, let's get right into the foundational rules of the game. Before we get to the antimicrobial paper and the trillions of rupees moving around in 2025, we have to understand the rule book.
The legal bedrock.
Right. According to the F&W manual, the RBI's mandate to manage the currency doesn't just, appear out of thin air. It has a very specific origin story.
The Hilton-Young Commission.
Yes, Hilton-Young Commission.
Formerly known as the Royal Commission on Indian Currency and Finance, which submitted its critical report back in 1926.
1926? That's almost 100 years ago.
It is. And to understand why this matters today for your exam, you have to look at what they were trying to fix back then.
What was broken?
Well, before the RBI existed, the control of the currency, like literally printing the money and the control of credit, were handled by the government and a patchwork of various private and presidency banks.
Sounds messy.
It was. The commission looked at this setup and recognized a massive conflict of interest and an inherent instability.
Because if the entity that spends the money, the government, is the same entity that prints the money, the temptation to just print more to cover your debts is overwhelming.
Precisely.
Yeah,
It's the classic recipe for hyperinflation.
Right.
The Hilton-Young Commission said, no, you need a dedicated, independent central bank to separate these functions from the daily operations of the government. You need an independent entity whose sole focus is maintaining absolute trust in the money supply and the macroeconomic stability of the nation.
And that recommendation birthed the Reserve Bank of India Act of 1934.
Exactly.
Now, for your exam preparation, you need to mentally highlight Section 22 of the RBI Act.
Absolutely crucial.
This is the golden rule, the absolute bedrock of currency management. Section 22 gives the RBI the sole right to issue banknotes in India.
Sole right. That phrasing is crucial
Why is that specific phrasing so important?
because it means no one else, not commercial banking giants, not state governments, not private enterprises, can legally create or issue a banknote. The monopoly is absolute.
Okay, that makes sense.
But, and I cannot stress this enough, this is exactly where examiners love to set traps for candidates.
Oh, the exceptions.
There's a critical, highly specific exception to this monopoly.
Wait, hold on. Let me play devil's advocate here for a second. If Section 22 says the RBI is the ultimate, undisputed boss of money, why does the government of India still handle the 1 rupee note?
Right?
And for that matter, all the coins. I mean, the Coinage Act of 2011 explicitly states the government has the sole right to mint coins. Does Section 22 just, ignore coins entirely?
It doesn't ignore them. It cleanly delineates jurisdiction.
Okay.
The government's right to mint coins is largely historical, stemming from the sovereign's traditional ancient prerogative to mint coinage bearing the stamp of the state.
Like kings minting gold coins back in the day.
Exactly.
What?
Under the legal definitions we operate by, the 1 rupee note is actually classified legally as a coin.
Wait, really? The paper note is a coin.
Legally speaking, yes.
Yeah.
But here is the crucial distinction you need to make for the exam. The difference between issuance and distribution.
Okay, I always try to visualize this like a massive global corporation. Imagine a giant parent company, that's the government of India.
Good analogy.
They allow their highly specialized, incredibly secure subsidiary, the RBI, to make the flagship high-value product. That's the high-denomination banknotes, the 500s and previously the 2000s, strictly in-house.
Right.
But the parent company insists on keeping the low-value, high-volume promotional merchandise like the coins and the 1 rupee notes under its own direct manufacturing division.
That is a very effective way to visualize the jurisdictional split. The government of India issues the coins and the 1 rupee note. They design them, they authorize their physical creation at the mints.
But they don't hand them out.
Exactly. However, Sections 38 and 39 of the RBI Act mandate that the RBI is the sole distributor of these coins to the public.
Wait, so the government makes them, but they legally can't actually hand them out?
Correct. The government cannot just open a window at the Ministry of Finance and hand out coins directly to commercial banks or citizens.
That would be pretty funny, though.
It would be chaos. Once minted, all coins and 1 rupee notes must pass entirely into the RBI's vast distribution network to actually enter circulation. The RBI acts as the exclusive agent for the government in this regard.
Okay, so if you are looking for a trap the examiners love to set, look no further than this specific wording.
Yes, pay attention here.
They will try to catch you on the difference between Section 22 for banknotes and the Coinage Act 2011 for coins. If a multiple choice question asks you who issues the 10 rupee coin, the answer is the government of India.
Correct.
But if the question asks who distributes that exact same 10 rupee coin, the answer is the RBI. Do not let them catch you slipping on the verbs.
Excellent point. The verbs are everything in the F&W manual.
Definitely.
Now let's look at another structural firewall built deeply into the RBI Act, Section 23.
Section 23.
This section mandates a strict, unbreachable separation between the issue department and the banking department within the RBI itself.
I've always found this fascinating. I mean, the RBI is one central bank, right? Operating under one governor. Why the strict, legally mandated wall inside the house?
It's a fair question.
Why can't the RBI just mix all its operations, assets, and liabilities together into one big, simplified ledger? It seems like it would be much easier for accounting.
It might be easier for accounting, sure, but it would be catastrophic for public trust.
Oh, how so?
Well, the issue department handles the sovereign function of currency issuance. Its balance sheet is entirely distinct and isolated from the rest of the bank.
Like a completely separate set of books.
Exactly. The assets backing the currency, which consist of, gold coins, gold bullion, foreign securities, and specific rupee securities, are held strictly within the issue department. The law explicitly, unequivocally, states that these assets cannot under any circumstances be used to meet the liabilities of the general banking department.
So let me make sure I understand the practical implication of this. The banking department of the RBI manages complex liquidity facilities. It acts as the banker to the government. It interacts with commercial banks.
Right. It does a lot of heavy lifting.
So if the banking department were to somehow take a massive financial hit, say, on some complex open market operations or international settlements, the physical assets that are backing the 500 rupee note in my wallet are completely protected from that institutional risk.
Precisely. It is a legally enforced ring fence.
Wow.
It ensures that every single banknote in circulation is fully, 100%, backed by highly liquid, universally recognized safe assets. By isolating those assets in the issue department, the RBI preserves absolute public confidence in the fiat currency.
So it's a safety net.
It's not just an accounting trick. It is an institutional guarantee that the money is fundamentally sound, regardless of the bank's other commercial or regulatory operations.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. So legally, the books are perfectly balanced and separated. Section 22 gives the RBI the power to print, the Coinage Act gives the government the power to mint, and Section 23 keeps the backing assets locked away safe.
That's the foundation, yes.
But having the legal right to print money doesn't explain how you physically move thousands of tons of highly secure paper across a subcontinent of 1.4 billion people.
That is the real challenge.
How does a note go from a printing press to a local ATM in a rural district?
This is where we move out of the realm of law and into the realm of massive logistics.
The plumbing.
Yes. Managing the life cycle of a physical banknote in India is one of the most complex supply chain operations on the planet.
Okay, let's trace the physical journey of a bundle of cash. It starts at the printing presses, right?
Correct.
The F&W manual mentions presses managed by BRB and MPL for your notes. That stands for Bharatiya Reserve Bank Note Run Private Limited.
A bit of a mouthful, but yes.
It is a wholly owned subsidiary of the RBI, operating massive presses in places like Mysuru. So from the moment a freshly printed bundle of 500 rupee notes comes off that press in Mysuru, where does it go?
From the presses, the currency is securely transported to one of the 19 RBI issue offices spread strategically across the country.
19 offices.
We're talking about major regional hubs, places like Mumbai, New Delhi, Chennai, Guwahati, and Ahmedabad. These 19 issue offices act as the primary high-level reservoirs for the new currency.
But wait, 19 offices cannot possibly serve the granular, sprawling geography of India? I mean, I certainly don't travel to the regional RBI issue office in my state every time I need to withdraw cash for groceries.
Of course not. That would be completely unworkable for the public.
Right.
So the RBI relies on a massive decentralized network of intermediate vaults. If you look at the 2025-26 data, the infrastructure is staggering.
What are the numbers?
There were 2,599 currency chests, commonly referred to as CCs, and 2,119 small coin depots, or SCDs, currently operating across the country.
Okay, so what exactly is a currency chest? Is it an RBI building, like a mini RBI branch?
No, and that is the brilliant part of the design. This is the vital middle layer of the currency ecosystem.
Okay.
Currency chests are essentially extended operational arms of the RBI, but they are physical vaults located mostly within the branches of commercial banks, like the State Bank of India, HDFC, Punjab National Bank, and so on.
Ah, I see.
The vault is inside the commercial bank's branch, but the cash inventory inside that specific vault belongs entirely to the RBI.
I always compare currency chests to Amazon fulfillment centers.
Oh, that's a perfect analogy.
It just makes sense. The RBI is the core manufacturer, but they use the vast existing infrastructure of commercial banks as their local fulfillment centers. This ensures that the public gets prime delivery of cash whenever they walk into an ATM or a local bank branch, no matter how remote the district.
That is a highly accurate comparison. And this architecture reflects a very deliberate, calculated strategic shift by the RBI over the past few decades.
How so?
Historically, the central bank was much more involved in direct distribution, but they have actively moved away from handling retail distribution themselves. They employ what the F&W manual formally calls a semi-retail model.
Wait, I want to dig into that term. What does a semi-retail model mean in practice for the banks and the RBI? Who pays for what?
Good question. Under the semi-retail model, the RBI takes responsibility for pushing the physical stock of fresh cash from its 19 issue offices out to these 2,599 currency chests.
Okay.
The RBI actually bears the transportation costs and the massive security logistics required to move the cash across state lines to get it into those chests.
So the RBI covers the macro logistics. They handle the big truck shipments.
Exactly. But once the cash is securely deposited inside the currency chest, the dynamic flips.
The commercial bank takes over.
Yes, the commercial bank hosting the chest bears the static ongoing cost of maintaining that highly secure vault. More importantly, it becomes the commercial bank's absolute responsibility to manage the microdistribution.
The last mile delivery.
Right, they have to handle the local retail distribution to their own individual branches, their white label ATMs, and other bank branches in that specific district.
So the RBI drives the long-haul trucks, and the commercial banks handle the local delivery vans.
Exactly.
But keeping track of all this physical inventory, literally billions of individual pieces of paper across thousands of vaults belonging to different commercial entities, I mean, that must be an absolute logistical nightmare. Historically, they managed this through a legacy system called ICCOMS, right?
Yes, ICCOMS, the Integrated Computerized Currency Operations and Management System. It served its purpose for a long time.
But it's gone now.
It is. As part of a massive, sweeping modernization of the RBI's internal plumbing, ICCOMS has been entirely retired. It is a thing of the past.
What replaced it?
The RBI has now integrated its entire currency management operations directly into its core banking solution, which is known universally as eCouper.
Ah, eCouper. And the specific module handling the cash within eCouper is CIM, the currency management module. Let's extrapolate on the significance of this for a second, because this is a huge operational leap. The annual report for 2025-26 explicitly notes that Phase 1 and Phase 2 of this integration are now fully complete.
A major milestone.
They have successfully onboarded all active currency chests and the 19 regional offices onto the CIM module.
The magnitude of this cannot be overstated. It is a transformational logistical upgrade.
Because in the tracking?
Yes. By having all 2,599 currency chests actively reporting on eCouper's CIM module, the RBI achieved something that used to be impossible: near real-time accounting of currency in circulation, or CIC.
What was the blind spot before CIM, like with ICCOMS?
Under the old systems, there might have been a significant data lag in knowing exactly how much cash was sitting idle in a vault in a remote district versus how much was actively in transit in a cash van versus how much had just been dispensed.
No, they were basically guessing sometimes.
Not guessing, but working with delayed data. Now, transit accounting, vault inventory management, and in-debt requests are centralized, completely visible, and instantaneous.
That is incredible. Okay, so if you see a question on the exam about the core banking solution, make sure you know this transition. Understand the physical flow of cash press to issue office to currency chest to bank branch.
And remember the software upgrade.
Right. Critically, understand that the CI module within eCouper is the new digital brain of this physical operation, permanently replacing ICCOMS for real-time inventory tracking.
And while we are defining terms for the exam, it is crucial to know the precise technical definition of currency in circulation.
Oh, yes. Good catch.
According to the foundational texts, CIC comprises all the notes issued by the RBI, less the notes held within the RBI's own banking department.
Okay, wait, say that again?
It represents the cash that is actually out there functioning in the economy, held by the public, sitting in commercial bank vaults, and held in government treasuries. That is your currency in circulation.
Got it. So we have the legal mandate, and we have the digital plumbing via CIM functioning smoothly. What actually flowed through those digital pipes in the 2025-26 operational year? Here is where we hit the hard data.
And the numbers for 2025-26 are quite striking. I would argue they are counterintuitive, especially when you juxtapose them with the prevailing media narrative of a completely digital India.
I couldn't agree more. Let me lay out the core, unvarnished statistics directly from the annual report.
Go for it.
The total value of banknotes in circulation increased by a massive 11.9% year over year, reaching an astounding figure of over 41.2 lakh crore rupees.
41.2 lakh crore. It's massive.
And the volume, the actual physical number of pieces of paper moving through the system increased by 10.5%, bringing the total to over 1.71 lakh crore individual pieces of currency.
This data immediately raises a profound structural question.
Which is?
We know from other chapters of the annual report that retail digital payments, driven heavily by the incredible success of UPI, grew by almost 27% in volume terms during this exact same period.
27%.
Yes. So how do we explain double-digit percentage growth in the sheer volume of physical cash happening simultaneously with explosive 27% growth in digital payments?
I have to admit, when I first read that, it felt like a complete contradiction. I mean, I don't buy that people are using both equally for the same things.
Right.
If I'm paying for my key, my groceries, and my utility bills with a UPI QR code, why on earth is the RBI printing 10.5% more physical paper notes? There has to be a substitution effect happening somewhere, right?
There is a substitution effect, but it is highly specific to certain types of transactions. The paradox resolves itself when you break down the dual macroeconomic functions of money.
Okay, walk me through that.
UPI has brilliantly, efficiently captured the medium of exchange function for daily, small ticket, and even medium ticket transactions.
Oh,
It is frictionless for moving money.
so that's the spending part.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But cash still overwhelmingly dominates the store of value function, especially in the informal economy and rural sectors.
Ah, so people are using digital for spending, but physical for saving.
Exactly. Furthermore, you have to account for baseline macroeconomic expansion. The Indian economy as a whole is growing rapidly.
True.
GDP is expanding, incomes are rising, and the absolute size of the economic pie is getting much larger. So even if the percentage of transactions done in cash is dropping relative to digital, the absolute amount of cash required to lubricate a much larger growing economy still increases.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. If we look at what specific notes are making up that massive 41.2 lakh crore rupee value, it is not an even spread.
Not at all.
It is almost entirely monopolized by a single denomination. The 500 rupee note is doing almost all the heavy lifting for the entire Indian economy.
The concentration is truly staggering.
According to the 25-26 data, the 500 rupee note constitutes 85.5% of the total value of all banknotes in circulation,
Wow.
and it makes up 41.2% of the total volume. Think about that. It's like a sports team where you have a roster of a dozen players, but one star player is scoring 85.5% of all the points.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this extreme reliance on the 500 rupee note fundamentally dictates the RBI's operational posture.
What do you mean?
When one denomination represents 85% of your currency's value, that note becomes a single point of failure.
Oh, I see.
It completely justifies the intense, almost obsessive focus the central bank places on the specific security features of the 500, the massive printing indents dedicated to it, and the rigorous quality control. If the 500 rupee note gets heavily counterfeited, the entire system shakes.
And part of the reason the 500 rupee note has taken on this gargantuan market share is because the player above it on the roster was officially retired.
The 2000 rupee note.
Yes, let's talk about the 2000 rupee note phase out, because the 2025-26 report gives us the final definitive postmortem on that operation.
The withdrawal of the 2000 rupee banknote was a massive logistical undertaking, distinct from demonetization because it retained its legal tender status during the return window.
That's a key distinction.
Yes. Back in May 2023, when the withdrawal was announced, there was roughly 3.56 lakh crore rupees worth of 2000 rupee notes in circulation.
And where does it stand at the end of the 25-26 reporting period?
It has essentially been entirely vacuumed out of the economy.
Really? All of it?
Almost. By July 2024, the value had dwindled to just 7,409 crore rupees. And by March 2026, the volume was down to a mere 275 lakh individual pieces.
Wow. That's a huge drop. Where did they all go?
The vast majority of these were returned directly through commercial bank branches during the initial window, and the remainder trickled in via the 19 RBI issue offices and designated India Post facilities.
Okay, and before we leave the data section entirely, we can't forget the parent company's merchandise, the coins.
Right, the coinage.
Coin volume was also up by 4.5%, and total coin value was up 11.4%. And just like the 500 rupee note dominates paper, there is a clear hierarchy in coins. The 1, 2, and 5 rupee coins absolutely dominate, comprising 80.7% of the total coin volume.
Which logically aligns with their function as fractional medium of exchange tools for exact change, despite inflationary pressures making them less valuable over time.
Okay, so when you are reviewing this section for the exam, don't get bogged down in trying to memorize every single decimal point across a 10-year chart, but absolutely lock in the big structural facts.
Yes.
Memorize the 85.5% value share of the 500 rupee note. Know that the 2000 rupee note is basically a ghost now, and understand the macro reasoning of why physical cash is still growing alongside digital.
And remember that pumping 1.71 lakh crore pieces of physical paper and polymer through a vast, hot, humid, agriculturally heavy economy means a staggering amount of physical wear and tear.
It gets dirty.
Very dirty. Paper, no matter how well engineered, degrades.
Which brings us perfectly to the next critical operation of the RBI, because the central bank isn't just a printer, it is also a massive janitorial service for the economy.
That's one way to put it.
We need to talk about the clean note policy and a very specific, highly testable data anomaly from the 2025-26 report.
The legal basis for this is Section 27 of the RBI Act, which implies a strong mandate that the central bank should not reissue torn, defaced, or excessively soiled notes.
The clean note policy.
Yes. The RBI has formalized this into the clean note policy, which dictates that only good quality, clean notes should remain in active circulation.
So what happens when a note reaches the end of its life? Let's say I hand a crumpled, tea-stained 100 rupee note to my local bank teller. What is the actual life cycle of its destruction?
Once that soiled or mutilated note is surrendered to a commercial bank, it is removed from active circulation immediately.
Okay.
The commercial bank runs its deposits through localized note sorting machines, or NSMs, which automatically separate the fit notes from the unfit ones based on dirt, limbness, and tears. The unfit notes are bundled and securely transported back to the RBI's issue offices.
And this is where the big machinery takes over.
Exactly.
Yeah.
At the issue office, the notes are fed into the Currency Verification and Processing System, or CVPS.
CVPS.
These are massive, high-speed automated machines. In the 25-26 cycle, the RBI actually deployed newly upgraded CVPS machines that feature four-way orientation processing and significantly increased sorting speeds.
Fancy.
The CVPS scans the note, verifies that it is genuinely issued currency and not a counterfeit, and definitively confirms it is unfit for circulation.
And once the CVPS condemns the note, it goes to the executioner.
Yes, it is fed directly into the shredding and briquetting system, the SBS.
So the SBS destroys it.
The SBS shreds the banknote into tiny, unrecognizable strips and then uses immense hydraulic pressure to compress those paper shreds into dense, highly compact briquettes.
Briquettes, like for a barbecue.
Essentially, yes. These briquettes can then be disposed of safely, sometimes used as industrial fuel or filler, completely removing the physical currency from existence.
Now, here is the massive anomaly in the 2025-26 data. And I guarantee you, if the examiners want to separate the candidates who just skimmed the summary from the ones who actually read the report, they will ask about this.
Oh, this is a classic trap.
In a year where total currency and circulation grew by over 10%, the disposal of soiled banknotes actually dropped. It fell to 1.7 lakh pieces, down significantly from 2.38 lakh pieces the previous year.
On the surface, that makes absolutely no sense.
Right. I read that and thought, wait, did the notes suddenly get cleaner? Are people treating their cash better? Or did the note sorting machines stop working?
No, the notes did not magically become cleaner. This is exactly the trap.
Okay.
A drop in disposal figures does not equate to an improvement in the physical quality of the circulating currency. The annual report specifically notes that this sharp drop in disposal was due to transient interruptions arising from the replacement of shredding and briquetting systems at issue offices.
Ah, so they were literally upgrading the destruction hardware.
Exactly. Across 21 regional offices, the RBI was in the complex process of ripping out the old SBS machines and installing brand new, higher capacity ones.
Which takes time.
Yes.
Yeah.
When you take the primary incinerator offline for an upgrade, you simply cannot destroy as much volume.
It's like a city closing down its primary landfill to build a high-tech waste-to-energy plant. The trash doesn't stop generating, it just piles up at the local transfer stations for a few months. But once the new plant opens, the processing capacity skyrockets.
That is the perfect way to look at it. And from an analytical perspective, this allows us to make a very safe extrapolation.
What's that?
Because the deployment of the new high-speed CVPS machines and the new SBS machines was completed during the 25-26 window, the 2026-27 operational year, we'll almost certainly see a massive, historic spike in disposal numbers as the RBI churns through the localized backlog of soiled notes sitting in vaults.
Before we move on, let's clarify two terms that sound interchangeable but legally are very different under the note refund rules of 2009. What is the actual difference between a soiled note and a mutilated note?
It's an important distinction. A soiled note is one that has simply become dirty, limp, or worn out due to normal usage. Crucially, a soiled note also includes a note that has been torn into two pieces. But both pieces belong to the exact same banknote and have been taped back together to form the whole note. You can exchange a soiled note over the counter at any bank branch for full value, no questions asked.
And a mutilated note, what's the difference?
A mutilated note is one where a distinct portion of the note is entirely missing, or a note which is composed of more than two pieces pasted together,
Like it went through a lawnmower.
basically. Because portions are missing, it requires a more careful adjudication process under the note refund rules to determine if you get full value, half value, or no value based on the exact square centimeter area of the remaining intact piece.
Okay, so if the exam asks why disposal fell in 25-26, do not choose the option that says improve note quality. Choose the option regarding the SBS hardware replacement, and know your definitions under the note refund rules.
But as rigorous as the clean note policy is, we have to acknowledge that not all bad notes are just old, torn, or accidentally washed in someone's laundry.
Oh, definitely not.
Some bad notes are actively, maliciously engineered.
Which takes us to the absolute front line of the central bank's mandate, the war against counterfeiting. Section 5, security features and counterfeit mitigation.
Maintaining the integrity of the currency is paramount. If the public loses faith in the authenticity of the paper in their hands, the entire fiat system destabilizes.
Let's look at the detection stats for 25-26. The total number of fake Indian currency notes FICNs detected in the system was 2,029,746 pieces.
A significant number.
But the really striking part isn't the total number, it's where they were caught. A staggering 97.6% of all fake notes were detected at other commercial banks. Only 2.4% were detected at the RBI itself.
What's fascinating here is how effectively the RBI has decentralized the security perimeter. The system heavily, almost entirely, relies on the commercial banks to act as the ultimate localized filter.
The first line of defense.
Because they are the ones handling the retail deposits from shopkeepers and local businesses, their note sorting machines are the frontline defense. The fact that 97.6% are caught before they ever reach an RBI vault proves that the commercial bank NSM mandates are working precisely as intended.
So how will those machines, and everyday citizens for that matter, actually tell a real note from a fake one? We need to go through the specific security features of the Mahatma Gandhi New Series.
Let's focus on the high-value targets, specifically the 500 rupee note, since it comprises 85% of the circulating value.
Right.
The first major feature is the windowed color-shifting security thread. If you hold a genuine note flat, the thread appears green. But as you tilt the note, the thread vividly shifts to blue.
I've seen that.
This is incredibly difficult for counterfeiters to replicate with standard commercial printing presses.
Then there's the latent image. If you hold the note horizontally at eye level, right next to the portrait of Mahatma Gandhi, you will see a faint hidden image of the denominational numeral 500 appear in the vertical band.
We also have the see-through register. On the left side of the note, there's a floral design. Half of the design is printed on the front and the other half on the back.
Ah, I love this one.
When you hold the note up to a strong light source, the two halves align perfectly to form the complete number 500. It requires exact, microscopic print registration on both sides of the substrate.
And then there are the features you can't see with the naked eye, like the fluorescence. The paper substrate itself is embedded with dual-colored optical fibers.
Invisible to the naked eye.
Under normal light, they are invisible or look like tiny specks. But under a UV light, which bank tellers use, these fibers brightly glow in specific colors, proving the substrate is genuine.
But perhaps the most tactically important feature, especially for visually impaired citizens, is the intaglio printing.
Explain intaglio physically. What is it?
Intaglio is a specialized printing process where the ink is forced under immense pressure into recessed grooves on the printing plate, and the paper is pressed heavily into those grooves. The result is that the ink sits raised above the surface of the paper. You can literally feel it with your fingertips.
So it's bumpy.
Yes. On the 500 rupee note, the portrait of Mahatma Gandhi, the Ashoka pillar emblem, the red fort motif on the reverse, and crucially, the 5 angular bleed lines on the left and right edges are all printed in raised intaglio ink.
Now, detecting a fake note is an operational process, but prosecuting the counterfeiters requires a robust legal framework. The 2025-26 period operated under newly updated legal statutes.
Yes, counterfeiting is not just a financial crime, it is an act of economic subversion.
A serious offense.
Very serious. The legal teeth are found in the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita 2023, which replaced the old IPC. What is particularly notable about the BNS 2023 is that it explicitly covers and criminalizes the counterfeiting of foreign government currency as severely as domestic currency.
And for organized counterfeiting rings, the state brings in the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, or UAPA.
Yes, the UAPA.
The UAPA has a very specific definition for what constitutes a high-quality counterfeit. It isn't just a subjective visual test. It is based on exactly which specific security features the counterfeiters managed to replicate.
Very technical.
If they replicate the color-shifting thread or the watermarks to a certain degree of accuracy, it triggers the UAPA, treating the counterfeiting as an act of terrorism.
And we must also look at the strict compliance mandates placed on those commercial banks who catch 98% of the fakes. They have a very specific reporting matrix.
Let's break that down. Say I'm a bank manager. My teller finds a fake 500 rupee note in a customer's deposit. What do I do?
It depends entirely on the volume. If your branch finds up to 4 fake notes in a single transaction, the mandate is to confiscate them, stamp them as counterfeit, and include them in a consolidated nodal monthly report sent to the local police authorities.
But what if a local business deposits a huge stack of cash and the machine kicks out 7 fake notes?
That crosses the critical threshold. If a bank detects 5 or more fake notes in a single transaction, it triggers a mandatory immediate escalation.
No more monthly report.
Right. The bank manager must immediately file an FIR, a first information report, with the local police nodal officer. It ceases to be a monthly reporting statistic and becomes an active, immediate criminal investigation.
Examiners love the legal definitions. So, lock in the 5-note threshold for filing an FIR. Know that intaglio means raised printing, specifically the 5 bleed lines on the 500 rupee note. And remember that the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita 2023 protects foreign currency as well.
Before we move off security, there is one visual anomaly that often confuses the public and might show up as a tricky true-false question. The star series notes.
Oh, yes. I've actually received one of these from an ATM. It has a little star symbol right in the middle of the serial number panel. I honestly thought it was a rare collectible or a misprint that slipped through. What exactly are they?
They are not misprints, and they are not rare collectibles, though numismatists do collect them. They are a highly efficient operational tool.
How so?
During the massive high-speed printing process at the BRBN MPL presses, occasionally a note or a sheet of notes is printed defectively. Quality control catches it, and the defective note is destroyed. But this breaks the sequential numbering of that specific bundle of 100 notes.
And a bank bundle has to have exactly 100 notes.
Exactly. So instead of reprinting that exact specific serial number, which is expensive and disrupts the high-speed workflow, they simply insert a star series note as a replacement to complete the packet of 100.
Oh, that makes sense.
It is the completely valid, legal tender banknote, identical in every security feature, just indicating that it was a replacement for a defect in that specific sequential batch.
So, perfectly legal tender. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise.
Exactly.
Now, staying ahead of sophisticated counterfeiters, and as we learned over the last few years, staying ahead of pathogens requires constant, relentless innovation. The central bank cannot afford to be static. Which brings us to our final core segment, Section 6. Innovations and the agenda for 2026-27.
The RBI doesn't just manage the currency of today. They are actively engineering the currency of tomorrow. The nerve center for this is the BRBN MPL's Currency Research and Development Center, the CRDC, located in Mysuru.
The annual report highlights some major operational milestones for the CRDC this year. They have fully operationalized a dedicated adversarial analysis lab.
Which is fascinating.
This essentially means they have a team whose entire job is to try and break, counterfeit, and degrade their own banknotes using the latest, most sophisticated commercial technology available to criminals.
It is basically red teaming for physical currency. And through this lab, they have been conducting extensive print trials for varnished notes.
Varnished notes.
Yes. Varnishing a note essentially coats it in a micro layer of protective polymer, dramatically increasing its lifespan, making it resistant to water, oil, and extreme soilage.
But the major headline-making breakthrough from the 25-26 report isn't just about making the notes last longer. It's about making them safer to handle. The CRDC has successfully developed, entirely in-house, specialized antibacterial and antimicrobial treatment.
This is crucial.
Yeah.
These treatments are not sprayed on after the fact. They are deeply structurally integrated directly into the paper substrate manufacturing process itself.
Think about the systemic resilience this provides. Especially post-COVID, we understand that physical cash is the ultimate vector. It changes hands dozens of times a day, moving from a butcher shop to a taxi to a grocery store.
It's constantly circulating.
By sanitizing the physical medium at the fundamental manufacturing level, the RBI is executing a quiet but absolutely massive public health intervention.
It represents a fundamental shift in how we view the physical properties of money. Alongside the physical innovations, the RBI is drastically overhauling its digital outreach.
Yeah.
In September 2025, they officially launched the Indian currency microsite.
This replaced the old Paisa Bolt to High portal, right?
Yes. The new microsite is a major leap forward in public awareness. It features high-definition, 360-degree interactive views of all current banknotes, allowing the public to digitally explore and understand the security features, the latent image, the color-shifting thread we just discussed.
So what does this all mean? When we look at the specific agenda band up for 2026-27, which is tightly aligned with the central bank's overarching Utkarsh 2029 strategic framework, the goals are clear.
Very clear.
Focus on substrate improvements for extreme durability, massive capacity augmentation across the printing presses, and the opening of 2 brand new RBI issue offices to further decentralize the distribution network.
It means the RBI is digging in. They are not preparing for physical cash to quietly fade away.
Exactly. I look at these Utkarsh 2029 goals not just as dry administrative targets, but as an active arms race.
An arms race, I like that.
The RBI isn't just printing money anymore. They are actively engineering an advanced, highly durable, and intensely hostile environment for microbes and counterfeiters alike. They are building a physical currency network designed to survive and thrive alongside the digital revolution.
For the exam, lock in the name of the research facility, the CRDC in Mysuru. Understand the specific R&D initiatives, particularly the antimicrobial substrate and the varnish note trials, and know that the new digital awareness platform is the Indian currency microsite.
All right, we have covered a massive amount of ground today. Let's do a rapid-fire recap of the overarching architectural themes we unpacked. We started with the strict, unyielding legal divide of Section 22. The RBI issues the notes, but the Government of India issues the coins and the 1 rupee note.
We walked through the eKuber CYM modernization, understanding how the RBI retired ICCOM mess to achieve near real-time digital tracking of physical currency across 2,599 commercial currency chests.
We analyzed the absolute, overwhelming dominance of the 500 rupee note in the 2025-26 data, carrying 85.5% of the total value in circulation. We solved the mystery of the dropping disposal rates, identifying the SPS hardware replacement as the true cause, not magically cleaner notes.
We mapped the front line of the counterfeit war, noting that commercial banks catch 98% of fakes, and detailed the specific, testable intaglio and fluorescent security features of the Mahatma Gandhi new series.
And finally, we looked at the CRDC's antimicrobial varnished future of physical cash.
If you are sitting for this exam, I want to offer a word of calm reassurance. Do not let the sheer volume of data intimidate you.
You got this.
You now understand the logic behind the plumbing. You know why the RBI operates the semi-retail model. You know why the issue department is legally walled off. When you understand the central bank's institutional goals, security, trust, and distribution efficiency, the raw data points simply become the logical output of those goals. They become much easier to memorize. You are going to do exceptionally well.
You absolutely are. But before we sign off, I want to leave you with a final, slightly provocative brain teaser to ponder before test day, a thought experiment.
Okay, let's hear it.
We know from other reports that the RBI is aggressively, intensely piloting programmable central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs. These digital tokens are capable of instantaneous, entirely costless transfer.
The ultimate medium of exchange.
Right, and yet, as we just learned, the volume of physical, degradable paper currency still grew by 10.5% this year. It grew by billions of pieces, necessitating the installation of massive new hydraulic incinerators and the invention of high-tech antimicrobial paper.
The paradox continues.
So here is the question to mull over. Why does a society that is sprinting at breakneck speed toward a frictionless digital future still cling so tightly, so fiercely to physical paper? And looking ahead, what will be the exact macroeconomic tipping point where the eKuber CYM module officially manages more digital CBDC tokens than physical printed notes?
A fascinating structural question to keep in mind as you review your notes.
We wish you the absolute best of luck on your high-stakes exam. Trust your preparation, remember the logic behind the law, and go ace it. Signing off from this deep dive into the vast, complex vault of the Reserve Bank of India.